Hello and welcome to the Relevate YouTube channel where we talk about all things sales, marketing and technology. In this video, I'm going to show you how we do our video editing process for YouTube. In this example, I'm going to be showing you how we use Descript to create and edit videos for our YouTube channel. Now, we often create videos internally as well, sometimes for our community, sometimes for people that have requested a particular bit of information. But using video is a great way to communicate with your team, with your customers and stakeholders and potential future customers. So what we've done in this one is started from the editing position through to when we would actually go and do the publishing onto YouTube. We've used OBS as the recording platform, but you can start with any raw file. It could be recorded from YouTube, from your phone, from your Teams meetings, from anything. So all you need is the MP4 file, load it in, and then that's where we take this conversation. In this video, I'm going to talk about how we create YouTube videos in a quick and easy way. Now, at this point, we're going to edit the video. Normally, you've got different types of editing software that you can use to get the video to this point, but we're going to go through the editing process. So I've recorded in a platform called OBS, which is currently recording this screen. And the image file that I get out of that, generally I try and take it in one take. So I'll film all of my takes, all of my errors, but I'll just leave the recording running. So if I make a mistake, I just take a pause and restart that sentence. Now, I'm going to go up to new project. So this is Descript. It's an app that you can easily edit videos with. I've selected the file that we want to edit. So what it's going to do is it's going to transcribe. So this is going to look at the video, play it back internally, and then transcribe the text onto a timeline. And then we can use the text to edit down to just the right content that we need. So we can do things like edit the title, and we've got a menu on the side here. We've got some automation functions. So once the transcription is done, we can then do things like edit the sound, remove filler words. I can remove retakes, and it'll use AI to look for where I've said something, and then it'll try to cut out the retake. Now that sometimes doesn't work the best, and also studio sound can sometimes clip the end of words. So I tend not to use studio sound unless it's very short and clear what I've said in the video. You've also got the ability to remove word gaps. Word gaps works when you are creating a video where you're talking like to the camera. But if you're creating a video like this, where I'm showing something on screen, it's actually more problematic because the time when I'm moving my mouse to click on that thing and not talking, that gets cut out. So you can see here, I've made a few takes. So I said, hello Zoho users, I'm going to show you, and then I stuffed my sentence up, and then I started again, and then I started again, and then I started again. So it's really easy to see where the mistakes are. And things like this is a gap. That's where we come in. And then there's a gap from when I actually started speaking. So what I can actually do is edit that timeline, backspace it, and now that's deleted. Obviously there's a freeze frame there that's not great. But then we can also come down here and look at the timeline and we can see the text. So if I come up here, so we can see we started recording, there's a gap there. I know that first sentence is no good, so I'm going to backspace it. But what I could do is if I wanted to make fine edits, I can click and drag that closer. And so when it plays that clip, that pause in between those words would be much shorter. Now, if I like, I can use the bulk edit tools and say remove filler words. Now, I was reading from a script, not coming up with this myself, so I didn't have a lot of ums and ahs, but there's showing that there's one in there. So I'm going to go remove all, and that will have cut that out of the timeline. So let's close that one. We go back to this underlord setting. Let's go remove or shorten word gaps because this is a talking head video. So it's got 18 word gaps. So we go shorten all. So have a look at the time down here. We've got 7 minutes and 2 seconds. That's how long the whole video works for. But if I go shorten all, and now you can see that it's shortened significantly. So it's only a very short video, but in the time that I've had a retake, looked at the camera and gone, this didn't make sense. Retake. It's going to pull all of that out. So now if I like, I can remove retakes. But for this shorter video, I want to make sure that what I'm actually removing doesn't actually belong there. So hello Zoho users, I'm working out growth and scale. Yep, many users don't know what's possible. So you can read through this, find the correct statements. Zoho is a big platform, and then I've mumbled after that. So obviously that one's not correct. Zoho's a big platform helps you maximize, make a big thing. So there's another retake, big and powerful platform. It looks like 3 retakes there. Now, if you make a mistake, you can always go Control Z and bring it back. Once you've done your gross edit, as in you've gone initially over everything, it's going to help you to get rid of all of the gaps, and then you're just left with the reasonably good footage. That's when you should really just play it through and start to listen. All right, well, that gap was a bit long, or there was an extra mistake that I didn't pick up. So you should do an initial pass over, and then once you've figured that out, then you should be fine. So then you've got other things that you can do. So that's probably all I'm going to do for this particular video, but you can add extra scenes. So if I go /, I can add a different file in, which could be maybe a video that sits over the top. Whilst I'm talking underneath, you can get the sound, and then one video can sort of come in. You can also use the timeline. So if I go over to the side here, we can add, there's elements. However, yeah, you go to the stock option down here, and then you've got stock video. So if you go show all, sometimes if you're talking about a particular thing and you just want a scene cut, maybe we're talking about computers. So you can just search a keyword and it'll bring up a whole bunch of video options around computers. And then you can see like this shot panning across a whole bunch of desks, or if you wanted to have this one with server racks in the background or people learning, you could, if you're talking about education, you can have that one pop up for a few seconds. You could just drag it onto the timeline. So that helps you to create that engagement within the storyline. For music, if we do audio, I really only have one that I like to use. So if you select audio and you type in the words chill, then you'll get this chill in holiday. It's quiet enough to be in the background. And if you add that one in on the timeline, it'll import the audio. And then once you import the audio, there's a couple of settings you need to do. So that sound clip is quite relaxing in the background. It's not too loud, provided that you make this change here. So go to layer, you go to audio, and then you need to select, make sure you've got the audio selected. And then you go -23 or 5, around that range. So what you're doing is you're taking the standard sound level that video has, and then you're reducing it by 25 decibels. So if we enter that one, it's now going to play softly and quietly in the background. Otherwise, if you just leave it normal, it's going to be over the top of the talking and too loud, and you're going to be like you're at a nightclub trying to talk to the person next to you over the top of the music. So 23 if there's less speaking, 25 if there's more speaking. Generally, it's not worth doing it for the different volumes within the video clip. Just do it the one for all. So why don't we say -25 as a standard. Then on this duration section, you notice here that the audio clip is quite long, and it matches the video clip. But in cases when you've got a longer video clip than the audio, you may have to repeat it. So you just use this selection here, which is loop. And then the audio, because it's so quiet in the background, no one's going to notice if it loops and repeats itself, because it's going to go for about 2.5, 3 minutes and then go again. But if the content is what you're talking about, then the audio doesn't really matter at that point. Okay, so once you've done all of your cuts, so we'll just go back to the start here, then you should start playing it through. And playing it through allows you to just see where all of the errors are. It could be a visual, it could be audio, it could be a repeated sentence. So let's just play something through.
Hello Zoho users, I'm going to show you how to get the most out of your...
So I did something there where I flashed my hands up in front of my face. That's a visual hook, that's intentional. So I'm going to do that again. But you can see in the first millisecond, I'm looking off camera, so that we might even want to edit that bit out. So we can do that now just by dragging that to the start. So it's going to start immediately. If someone is scrolling, then this is going to grab their attention.
Hello Zoho users, I'm going to show you how to get the most out of your Zoho platform so that you can achieve epic growth and scale.
So you can see I paused there, and that's my recording where I'm going to speak and then I'm going to pause after a sentence, so that makes editing a lot easier. But I'm only going to pause for about 1 or 2 seconds. So I need to bring this one over so that next one starts at a logical sentence, but also so that there's not too many ums and ahs and gaps, but also so that it's nice and consistent. So sometimes I might close the gap even if I've taken a slightly longer word pause or a breathing gap in between. So let's try this one again.
Growth and scale. Many users don't know.
So that jump, like I generally try to stay in the seat in a relatively similar position. So that jump where I'm between the edits is pretty fine. Like it's not a problem where anyone's going to care or notice. This type of video, people appreciate short, snappy and fast because usually I'm trying to deliver value and people want to get to the point. They don't want to hear me rattle on or and ah or pause. So I'm going to try and do that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be listening to what is actually said, because sometimes if I reiterate a point but then waffle on about it, it could be already stated and the point already made. If I then go and double down on it, it's not really going to have any value to the viewer. So short, snappy and to the point is what we want.
Don't know what's possible or where to start in their Zoho platform, but with the right growth partner, you can take on the world.
So there was an example where the gap is fine because of what I'm saying, and that pause kind of makes it. So I could shorten it a little bit, otherwise it's fine to leave. Micro changes you barely notice because there's a little bit of AI to smooth it out. But this one, there is a gap between what I'm saying, and I do have that pause. So you can butt it right up against, and you can also go over it, but then that cuts and edits. It'll clip off the other part. So I like to leave just a tiny gap as a pause.
But with the right growth partner, you can take on the world. Zoho is a big and powerful platform that can...
So it really gets to the point of the story, and it doesn't matter that those little pauses. In fact, people expect that these things are going to be this way. So other things that can help hide any kind of like jumpy recording, because usually I'm reading from a script and I'm doing like a paragraph at a time. So sometimes I'll do it from dot points and I'll be able to talk from my head a little bit longer. But if I'm trying to get a key message across, I might use a script. So by using the script, that then means that I probably thought about it a while ago and I'm actually reading from the script instead of speaking it more naturally from the top of my head. So anyway, once you've done all of that, you can do other cuts where if there's something on the timeline, there's other functions here like a blade or slicing tool where you can make a cut there and then delete the bit in the middle, even if you're not dragging a word or if there's something more visual on screen. There are other options here, which we can get into later, but the main point is we want to make sure that we have subtle music. Early on, we might want to have, so there's a bit in the image where I talk about the Relevate community. So you can join our free online community. No, before that, I talk about, here we go. We've got hundreds of members in our Relevate community. So I can go to the files area. I can go upload files. And then I do have a scroll video. Now this scroll video of the Relevate community. So I can easily drag that one onto the timeline and have that one run in parallel. So it's on top of the music there. Now we can adjust this around. So if I drag this up, that's now sitting on the timeline. So when I talk about, we have tons of members in the community.
And hundreds of members in our Relevate community. There are a lot of beginner partners out there that are just getting started and really only know one or two applications.
So what I would do is go to about this point in the video where I start to scroll and then just come back a little bit. So now I can cut the front of that off to that point. So let's try that again.
There are a lot of beginner partners out there that are just getting started and really only know one or two apps.
And then that's probably where I want to go. So I'm going to use the blade here. I'm going to cut that. Then I'm going to go to the pointer. I'm going to select that and then just delete it because all I want is a few seconds here. So when I go over to, we've got hundreds of members, tons of reviews and members in our community. So just as I'm talking about that, and it shouldn't be exactly on that word, it should sort of flow in nicely.
Media and hundreds of members in our Relevate community. There are a lot of beginner partners out there.
And that goes really nicely where you've got that little bit of a gap or jump to the video. We're showing the thing on screen. So usually I like to use the concept of show, don't tell. So, you know, I might use some stock image in the same way to kind of reiterate a point. So maybe when I say we've got tons of reviews on social media, there might be something here and not too polluted. Like you should be jumping between the subject who is talking and the extra videos that is in there. So if I go back over to the start, if you're doing a video, this is actually going to be a little bit of an ad call out. So I don't want to make it too genericized with a whole bunch of stock content. I want to be the focus. Whereas if I'm making a YouTube video, I might, in the first 30 seconds, because you can see like we're only looking at 22 seconds of the first video, but in the first 30 seconds, you probably want to have anywhere between 2 to 4 little clips, and I'll bring one in just to show you. So if I go to stock images, I'll delete this one because it's irrelevant, but I might take that one. If it aligns with a word or something that I'm saying, I can shorten it right down just to kind of break up the footage.
I'm going to show you how to get the most out of your Zoho platform so that you can achieve epic growth and scale.
So like if I wanted to say epic growth and scale, the imagery would be someone cheering or someone doing something with money or something like that, where it really kind of makes what that statement was pop. But by doing that, we're also changing the visual so that it keeps it engaging, because most likely someone's sitting on their phone, they're scrolling through videos, that one's popped up and it's auto played for the first 30 seconds. And in that time, if you make something that's really engaging and popping, then someone's going to actually click to watch it, or at least sit there and watch the subtitles. So that is how I generally do a YouTube video. At the end, sometimes I'll do this thing where I lean back and point, and that's me pointing. In YouTube, you place the next video that could be watched on screen, and it overlays over what's in the video. So by me leaning back and pointing, I'm kind of gesturing that someone should watch the next video. So if you use that auto edit over here, when you go remove word gaps, that'll actually delete that one, because I'm moving and then I'm pausing, I'm looking at the camera, but I'm not saying anything, because I want 3 to 5 seconds worth of me pointing at this thing to give someone an opportunity to click. So if you shorten word gaps, the system will automatically delete that. So you want to avoid doing that one. So once you've created all of those little edit pieces and you've watched the video end to end, there is some other functions in here. For example, you've got the ability to create an AI YouTube description and you'd publish it into YouTube, or you can download it. So if you publish it and you go export, you can get the video file. There are other ways to do things. So what I like to do is create one main edit as though it's for YouTube as the long version. And once you upload to YouTube, that's when you can use things like Opus Clip to break it down into smaller pieces. But generally you would do that on a longer video that's like 20 minutes long. It's not worth it for this video, which is only going to be about 2 minutes long. So once you've created those videos, and if you want to make different versions, you create what's called a composition. So you go to this one, which is Zoho users, and then you go duplicate, and then this is your next composition. So it's a copy of the same video, but now you can do things like this, where you go and change the ratio to say, all right, this one's going to be a portrait as though it's for mobile, and then you can put text overlay and all that sort of stuff. And when you put it in Opus Clip, it'll actually use the AI. Instead of putting the same image size in portrait mode, which you can scale out, it'll actually use AI to zoom in on my face, track it in case I move, and then also apply the text overlay automatically. So generally, I try to just do the minimum in this one. And we're not doing such high fancy effects where we're doing like text overlays and graphics and movement. Simple is best. We want speed to market. It's about the content, not about being flashy at this point. Until one day we can afford a whole bunch of graphic designers and editors. For now, it is just get stuff out on a regular basis where the quality of the content is good. So thank you for watching. If you've got any other questions about sales, marketing, or technology, or how we did the video editing process, be sure to join the Relevate community. The link is going to be in the description. Don't forget to subscribe and watch the next video.